Oh my gosh. Hey, Crazy Dre Podcast.
Welcome to the Crazy Dre Podcast Show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we go. Game 4 is underneath the belt. The game is over. Detroit Pistons lose at home. A major game for Detroit at home. Lost to the Knicks. Lost to actually Karl Anthony Towns. He seemed to show up in the fourth quarter towards about 3 minutes left in the game. He had a couple of big shots. Cade Cunningham had a last-second shot to make it. He bricks it. The ball is loose. Tim Hardaway takes a three-point shot in the corner, and Josh Hart fouls him. In Detroit, it's a foul. In New York Knicks land, that is not a foul. What are we talking about? Even JB Bickerstaff says there was contact, and there was contact. But let's be real, folks. Let's be real. This is a Detroit Pistons, an upcoming team. They are non-respected. They play physical. A lot of people think that we're almost kind of like the bad boy era of the 1989, 86, 87, 90 back-to-back championships with Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, that era. But it's not the Pistons of the past, and it's not the Pistons of with Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton and the Big Shot. It's just not. We have to earn what we have to earn what we can get. So what I'm saying though is that it's going to take time. It's going to take time for the referees to make calls for Detroit. It's going to take time for Detroit to be continuously in the playoffs, not just this year, but next year if they have a good season. But is Bickerstaff wrong? Of course not. He's not wrong. He was right. Tim Hardaway did get a hit. Cade Cunningham, his shot was not a very good shot. His shot was away from the basket, but he's made that shot in the past. And what does that mean for Detroit? It just means they now have to go to New York to keep the series alive because now they're down 3-1. The Knicks can clean it up, wash it up, and go to the second round. If they beat Detroit at Madison Square Garden, that is the question. Can that happen? Can they do it? But folks, I want to talk about some key players for Detroit. I'm going to start with Jalen Duran. He was on the court for 38 minutes. He only shot 3 for 5, which is which is good, but he needs more touches. As a big guy like that, a big athletic guy like that, a man that can move around the basket, the man that can do pick and rolls off Cade Cunningham or Beasley or whoever is on the top of the key. He can also dish it to another teammate if he's making picks for Cade Cunningham. If he gets the ball inside the paint, he can dish it out to Beasley, Tim Hardaway. They're just not using Duran that well. I just feel like he's just been isolated. I think that watching the game, they didn't go to him enough times. They didn't give him enough opportunities. I think that's a big key to this loss. Last 2 games they lost, actually. But I think that Tobias Harris was on the court for 35 minutes, 6 for 15. He took a lot of shots. He missed a lot of shots. He's the only one of the Detroit Pistons, along with Cade Cunningham, with at least 15 or more points. Cade had 25 points. Tobias had 18. Asir Thomas, 3 for 9, 22 minutes, only 8 points. But he's a defensive player. If you don't get fast break points, he's not going to get you that points. He's not going to score points. He needs to be in the fast breaks opportunity. Tim Hardaway, 5 for 16, 4 for 3 for 3 points. That made no sense. 4 for 13, I think. That's what he shot. He shot a lot of 3-pointers. He missed a lot of 3-pointers. His field goal was just on the court was 5 for 16. So even though he had 14 points, he's taking a lot of shots and he's missing a lot of shots. Malik Beasley, 26 minutes, 5 for 12, 3 for 9 for 3-pointers. It seems as though as the series is becoming more and more important and more in the moment things. It seems that Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway are both struggling. Um, they did put Rhino Holland the second on the court. He only had 1 point, one free throw, 1 for 2. Uh, he's just, if you're not going to play a guy consistently, don't play him all, because he with those 6 minutes, he's not really doing anything for the team. Um, but Paul Reed, 8 minutes, 1 for 2, only 2 points. Again, that's another guy that could be touching the ball more if Durant's not on the court. Dennis Schrader only had 6 points for game 4. That's not good. 2 for 4. That's the type of person that, for some reason, he probably needs to take more shots, kind of like Tim Hardaway. But I think Tim Hardaway needs to take less shots, and I think Schroeder probably needs to take more shots to get warmed up. I think that Detroit's inability to find a second or third guy to create shots other than Cade Cunningham. Again, when I say this, Cade Cunningham is the only really true Piston player that they have that can create his shots. That's something to recognize. Uh, don't know what to say or what to think about Ivy. He might he'll be back next year, but he had a knee surgery in the mid season of this year. But I don't know if Ivy is going to be the guy. That's something that we have to think about. But let's talk about Karl Anthony Towns, 27 points, 40 minutes, 10 for 23, 5 for 7 for 3 point line. The guy had it on, man. He just felt it. He just felt he felt in the moment where I thought that's why the Minnesota Timberwolves got rid of him, because they didn't think that he was a premier player. They didn't think he was the guy, the go-to guy. He just didn't think that he could do it. I think that if you really think about what Detroit needs to do with defense, is that they need to um, stop waiting for the referees to protect uh, Bronson or the Knicks. It's going to happen. You're going to get calls against you, especially in New York. So I think that if you think that's not fair, it's what sports is about, folks. When you're on the road, the call is going against you. When you're at home, the call should be for you. But in this situation, it's not in that case. Because again, Detroit is a new playoff team. They had the worst season ever last year. And look what they're doing now. Look how far they got. Look what JB Bickerstaff did. We lost Ivy in the mid beginning of the season. So this team is not in full strength. This chemistry on the team isn't really there yet. Okay. So I think people should stop panicking about it. I think people should stop pretending that back in the day we got calls against Michael Jordan. We got calls against Scott Pippen, because Scott Pippen was a rookie in the years when they played against Detroit for a while. They weren't that good. We got the calls against the Celtics at times. We got calls against the Lakers, but we earned those calls. It doesn't matter if you're talking about the 2004 championship of Detroit or the 1989-90 season when we beat the Lakers. We still beat the Lakers and we got the calls. And it's because the referees respected us. The referees gave us calls. And that's basically what it is. You're going to have to beat Brunson. You're going to have to beat Karl Anthony Towns. You're going to have to play within yourself. Detroit, if they stop playing against the referees and stop playing against Brunson's flopping, they'll win the game. If they play defense, they'll win the game. I've got to talk about um, the stats for the teams of the Knicks and the Pistons, and I lost. I think this is really crucial to talk about. I think this is something that we should concentrate as well. But here we go. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to change my view. I think I'm going to change my view to this, or maybe I go back to this. I'll go back to this. Um, I'm going to go and talk about everything that I see on this chart. Now, you can follow me on this chart. You can try to follow me. There's my face all over that certain section towards the steals and assists and the blocks. But Detroit, 37% in field goal percentage, 34 for 91. I mean, this is the Knicks. I'm sorry. Detroit was 42%, 36 for 84. Detroit, 3 points, 7 for 29. The Knicks were the Knicks were the Knicks were 15 for 33 and 3 points. Detroit was 24%, 45% for the Knicks. I think this is something I talked about last time. This is what I want to talk about this time. Is that sometimes when teams are struggling, you're going to struggle and you have to get to the hole. You have to make you can't go away from going to the paint. And that means like Beasley, Schroeder, Kate Cunningham. I think it's going to be hard for Kate Cunningham getting to the paint, but I think that he has to get to the paint off a double pick or a pick and then get fouled. You're going to have to make the call. The referees make the call for you. You're just going to have to. There's just has to be. If we do the points in the paint, Detroit did have 48 points in the paint, so that is working for you. But if you're shooting 7 for 29 in 3-point land, you may want to stop shooting 3-pointers and take a couple steps in. Shorter, Malik Beasley, you Tim Hardaway. Taking a 2-point shot and making it is better than shooting too many 3-pointers and not making any of them. All right. The free throws, Detroit 14 for 17, the Knicks 11 for 18. Again, if you're at home, Detroit needs more free throws, okay? You're going to need at least 24 free throws. If you're at home, you need to get to the 20s at least. That's something I saw in Detroit's loss. The rebounds in total, 54 Detroit, 38 for the Knicks. So Detroit's going after their own ball. Detroit's going for defense. A defense of rebounds, 40 rebounds for Detroit. When you win the defensive rebounds, you should probably be winning the game, especially if you have 14 offense rebounds against 12 in the Knicks. You should be winning those games, but you're not making those shots, or you're not making that transition fast break point shots. And that's just something that Detroit needs to finish. When you get those rebounds, you need to finish your shot. You got to make those referees make those foul calls. They're not going to call them for you all the time, but you have to go back up to the basket and try again. Detroit's assists, 18. The Knicks, 19. Again, too much isolation, too much watching Cade Cunningham, too much of one pass to – if Cade Cunningham was not on the court, and he was on the court for, I think, for 42 minutes the whole game. Yes, so he was out of 48 minutes. So he was not in the game for 8 minutes or 6 minutes. But still, let's look at that. Assist. You have to keep the ball moving. You just have to. I mean, I can't address enough about how bad basketball sometimes is or is not supposed to be, where you're just standing around watching Cade, watching Malik Beasley pass the ball to Shorter, and then you're just watching those guys. That doesn't work. You have to get guys moving. You got to get Shorter moving. You got to get Tim Hardaway moving. You got to get Malik Beasley moving. So you have to make at least 3 or 4 passes, and then take your shot. That's how it's supposed to work. I'm stressing that out as much as possible. The steals, uh, the Knicks had that for 11. Detroit had 6. Again, you got to protect the ball, man. Detroit's got to protect the ball. You can't allow giving up the ball like that. It doesn't matter if you're playing Detroit Lion football. It doesn't matter if you're playing hockey. You can't turn over the puck. You can't turn over the ball. You just can't. With the blocks, Detroit had 9 blocks, 3 blocks to the Knicks. So your blocks should be your transition fast break balls. It's just fast break points. That's how those blocks are supposed to go. You just have to not only block the shot, but make sure that you can block to someone that can get to the ball and then transition to a fast break points. Total turnovers, Detroit had 19, way too many turnovers for Detroit. Fast break points, I said this. Detroit only had 15, the Knicks had 12, but still, you have to have more fast break points, Detroit. You just have to at least give yourself an opportunity for easy points, easy buckets. The more easy buckets you get, the more pressure you put on that defense of New York Knicks. Again, when I talked about the points in the paint, I already talked about 42 to 38. Detroit had 48 points in the paint. So there is an inside presence in there. You just have to give the ball to Durant more. I just feel like you just have to. You just got to. I mean, that to me is just mind-boggling. Detroit had the largest lead, had 11 going into the third quarter. At about 5 minutes left in the third quarter. But no technicals, no flagrants, none of that. I just think that. I should also still talk about points conceded off turnovers. So Detroit conceded 20 points, and the Knicks conceded 15. So we lost. Well, that's a -5. So that's a whole turnaround of that in itself. That's something that you have to kind of consider. Realizing that if you're going to turn over the ball, the other team was going to score, obviously. So if Detroit, if you force more turnovers, you should get more points. If you force points, if you get any opportunity for block shots, any of those opportunities for fast break points. I mean, I think in some ways, Detroit makes things a lot difficult than they have to. But Detroit's key is that Kay Cunningham should probably not have just 25 points, but he should not also only have 45 points either. Kay Cunningham maybe should have maybe 30 points. Jalen Duran should have 15 to 20 points. I think Malik Beasley is around 13. That's what you expect out of him. Tim Hardaway, Tim Hardaway is a difficult person to read because I think a lot of times if he's on, he's on. And if he's off, he's off. Okay, so is it fair to expect Tim Hardaway to score 15, 20 points every game? Probably not. But I think that Ronald Holland should be more aggressive towards the basket. He should have at least maybe 7 points. Again, Dennis Schrader should have maybe 8 points. Paul Reed, I like Paul Reed. He's long, and he seems at times knows where he's at. He knows how to play the game within the game. But I don't know if he's missing the opportunity because he's not on the court more. I don't know if he's just kind of rusty. So I can't give him a clear criticism or praise in his performance. I like him when he's on the court. He's got that little different energy that there's something about. Detroit, when it comes down to to Jalen Brunson, he's going to score 25 points. Okay, he just is. Carl Anthony Towns, he probably should be scoring about 20 points every game. So expect that. Bridges, you held Bridges to 8 points, Detroit. So you did a good job there. Josh Hart, he had 14. Probably should have maybe 17, 18 points. So Detroit did something about that. Miles McBride, he only had 5 points. But I want to talk to you about one thing here. There's a stat that I think that we need to talk about between Jalen Brunson and Cade Cunningham. So Jalen had 11 assists. Cade Cunningham had 10 assists. That's pretty awesome. But Cade Cunningham gave up 7 turnovers to Jalen Brunson's 2 turnovers. So that's another key thing. If your star player, Cade Cunningham, is touching the ball too much, he's going to give up too many turnovers because they're going to be double teams on the backside when he can't see. That they're going to be double teams as soon as he touches the ball, almost at the top of the key. When even he does that pick and roll stuff with Durant, that's why Detroit has a problem with going pick and roll with Durant. Sometimes you're going to have to get Malik Beasley in the pick and roll with Durant, or have a double pick. By doing a double pick, you have Malik Beasley or Tim Hardaway on the top of the key, Asher Thompson along with Tobias Harris double picks for Cade Cunningham to get open. Then the ball should be thrown down to Jalen Durant in the paint. When that happens, everyone's still moving. All right. So just because the ball goes to Durant and just because Cade Cunningham gave up the ball to Durant, it doesn't mean that Tim Hardaway and Cade Cunningham just watches Durant do his thing. It means those two guys keep moving around Tobias Harris or Asher Thompson. Because what's going to happen is that those two guys keep moving, one of those 3 guys are going to get open. Asher Thompson's going to get open, or Tobias Harris is going to get open. All right? Because these guys, if you keep Tim Hardaway and Cade Cunningham moving, along with Malik Beasley when he comes off the bench, if you keep those guys moving, McBride, Bronson, Josh Hart, they're going to hold people. They just are. That's what's going to happen. You run that double pick, it's going to work for you. It just is. And remember, the difference between Bronson and Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway is that Bronson can create his own shots within the paint of about 5 feet, 2 feet, or 17 or 14, 13 steps away from the basket. Where, like Malik Beasley, he runs better when off a 3-point line. Okay. So does Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway is more like a moment type of player. Either he's hot in the moment or he's ice cold in the moment. But if this is what Detroit should really think about, if Tim Hardaway is hot, you gotta keep throwing him the ball. If Malik Beasley is hot, you gotta keep throwing him the ball too. That's kind of what Detroit is living and dying off. So that's kind of a double whammy to expect, because if you go to Tim Hardaway, you go to Cade Cunningham. I mean, if you go to Tim Hardaway and Malik Beasley and they're hot, and you run the same play over and over and again, they're going to catch on to it. And if as soon as they get cold, then you have to run the offense. And if you just run those 2 guys through picks, and Durant and Thompson and Tobias Harris doesn't touch the ball, that's not good either. You know what I mean? But look, folks, tell me what you think of this podcast. Tell me what's going on. Subscribe, follow. Thank you. I'm out of here. Peace and love.